Hello, this is the Backdrop Outreach meeting for Thursday, January 6th. We'll start by going around the room and everyone giving a brief introduction. I'm Robert Lang, bug folder on the internet, coming to you from Altadena, California, and I'll pass it to Sabashri.
I'm Sarvashri. I'm in North Carolina, Walnut Cove, North Carolina, town of about 1,400 people. And I'm interested in Backdrop from a newbie's point of view. Let's see, how about Olaf? Can't hear you. You're muted.
Okay, the usual. I'm Olaf from Hamburg in Germany, and yeah, I'm just checking in. And by the way, also I've started to test the new Backdrop preview release. I'm passing to Doc Wilmot.
Hi there, I'm Andy. I'm in the Cayman Islands, and I'm actually at work, so I may take off in a minute here, just borrowing a few minutes. I work around in the issue queues and do what I can. That's it.
I'll go ahead and jump in. I'm Tim Erickson, St. Paul Tim. I'm in Deerwood, Minnesota. And yep, anxious to start a new year of promoting, of doing outreach for Backdrop. Joseph, do you want to go next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. And yeah, I just help out where I can, mostly doing performance stuff or working on tools. Martin?
I'm Martin from Northeast England and Yorkshire Pudding on the internet. Outreach related, I've recently set up the LinkedIn page for us. So we're trying to look at what we can push out on that. And we're already seeing sort of people following who names I don't really recognize. So it does look like it's getting some reach, and that should grow as we get more, as we push more stuff out. And Jen.
I'm Jen Lampton, joining from Oakland, California. Really excited about all of the outreach we're about to do for 121. So back to you, Tim.
Well, good. We had a couple of things in the forum post for the agenda today. Okay, I was just reading the agenda and confused about something, but the showcase, I think, is the big thing. It sounds like there was an update on that in Julep today, but we'll come back to that in a second. Okay, Robert, you had raised the style guide issue, which partially got resolved before the meeting, but if you could do a quick summary in a minute. Yeah. Were there any other issues that people specifically wanted to talk about today? Okay, we have the 121 release coming up and a bunch of other stuff. So let's start with, go ahead.
Sorry, I wasn't fast enough. I did add an item to the agenda to specifically talk about the blog post, because I think we have a new procedure in place this time that should make it easier for whoever's going to work on that. I also don't know if Luke is going to have time. I assigned it to him in the template, but we might need to find someone else to pick that up.
Okay, well, let's talk about the blog post in a minute. Let's start with maybe Robert. Why don't you quickly summarize what we talked about with the style guide, okay, for the record?
So briefly, there's been some background discussion about what's the style guide for documentation and articles and blog posts and so forth. And the trigger for it was the issue of case. Should page titles and headings be title, case, or sentence case? And in some of the discussion before the meeting, it came out that there had been a branding discussion that decided both page titles and headings within pages should be sentence case. And so we will update places in our documentation that say the opposite to say that. And because one of my projects is working on documentation, I'll also slowly regularize pages as I encounter them to adhere to that standard. An ongoing related issue is our default when we don't have something specific is to use the Drupal style guide. And there is now a page in the documentation site that is a backdropified version of the Drupal style guide, modified for the things we do differently. And if anyone sees other issues in that style guide that are different, which could even just range from the attitude or mission statement to specific things, please make postings in docs in the issue queue for the documentation site, and which I'll monitor, and I'll make those changes, or we can launch a discussion if it's something controversial.
Okay, Robert, you seem to be in the agenda. Can you go ahead and drop the link in the agenda for the style guide?
Yeah, just a second.
So the other issue that has come up in the last, well, has been coming up repeatedly for the last month or two, but came up recently, is the showcase site being broken, or page being broken, or poorly styled. And it sounds like there's a fix out there. It just needs to be deployed. Is that right? Can anybody speak, update us on the status of the showcase? Now, who was it that, I think, did BW Panda say in Zulip that there was a...
Yeah, I think Indigo Zella made a couple of suggestions for how to fix it in code, and BW Panda prepared a solution. I don't know what state it's in, if it's ready to be deployed or not. I haven't looked at it, but I would imagine if there is code from either of them, it is ready to be deployed. So
Right.
I'll have a look. Yeah.
Okay, very good. And just so, if anybody's not sure what we're talking about the page where people can submit on backdrop.org projects that they've worked on, backdrop sites, and they can, it's like they're little case studies. And basically the formatting on those has been broken for a while, such that it isn't very attractive. So we're gonna try to get that up to date. It sounds like we've got the fixes in, we just need to get it deployed. So we'll take a look at that. That was easy. Do we need to talk at all about the process? Because this did take quite a while to get this fixed. Is there anything we can do or that we need to do to make that easier? I think this is the traditional problem that we have with backdrop.org, and that there are limited people that have the experience working on it. And that we tend to wait for those people. And Robert, your recent involvement in backdrop.org has definitely helped us get changes deployed there. Is there anything else anybody have any other ideas on how to streamline that or make it more efficient? I don't have any. Okay.
Yeah,
something. Go ahead.
I can probably do more. I'm still being fairly conservative in whether I just go ahead and do something, kind of putting things out and letting them soak a little bit to get feedback before just making a change, because I don't want to, get out over the tips of my skis, as they say.
Sure.
But I can probably be a little more proactive on following up on things I see in the queue.
I think that's probably fine. You always have a backup of this meeting, which you regularly attend, in terms of an opportunity to get feedback. We did, sort of on a related note, we did go ahead and deploy, Jen, we were looking for you last week to get feedback on, but then we just decided to, Robert and I decided to go ahead and do it and deploy the time zone module so that we could display time zones in people's browser time zone. We do have, I suppose we could mention that now. Robert, you saw the discussion last night. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at that yet.
I did, and I'm totally puzzled why it's not working for Greece. Because even because it's entirely client side. Now, a little bit. Jen warned us about this possibility.
Right.
It's entirely client side, so it should work even with a cached page. But for some reason, Greece is showing up as I don't know, Deerwood, Minnesota. I said.
Well, technically Menominee is what was in the screenshot, which is in Wisconsin, but it's in my it's in my time zone, not far from here.
I think what it is there are some time zone, like some browsers, I don't know if it's all browsers in the time zone. There are some time zones that like don't fit the like standard of what a time zone is supposed to be, and like that country has decided like we're gonna do our time zone this way, and all of the lists of what the master time zones are wrong, and so there's some way that just can't figure out how to do that mapping. Yeah, so I don't know if there's really anything we can do if the problem is coming from code that's outside our control. But
well, if anybody else wants to help test this right now, the node that you could test it on would be the if you go to the events page on backdrop.org and view the office hours. We're using the time zone tokens on office hours, so it should have a line that shows the time in your local time zone. And it seems to be working for some of us, but it isn't for Greg. And I think what's puzzling, though, is that we used this extensively in the last Backdrop Live, and nobody had any problems.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Greg was a part of that, so we'll talk to him more later, see if we can debug it.
I just went on that now, and it's got UTC, which is me, but then it says your time zone is Los Angeles.
Interesting. So it's not working for you either.
No,
and
that's me logged in though, so I don't know.
Oh, well, that could be the problem because
what time zone is your browser set to? Because it is currently set to use the user's time zone if you are logged in.
Oh, it is. Okay, darn.
I mean, we can change that. That's just a config setting.
No. I'm saying darn because I was hoping that would fix it.
But it is Europe, London in locale settings.
I think the same is happening for me when I'm not logged in. So which page should I test?
On the events page, go to office hours.
Okay.
And the time is displayed UTC and your local time zone, and we're interested if it's displaying correctly in your local time zone.
Okay, no, I'm not logged in, but nevertheless, my time zone written here is America, Los Angeles.
Okay, so it's not working for everybody. It's not just Greg.
Yeah, I get the same even when I'm logged out and I clear my cache.
Okay. Well, we don't need to try and fix this right now. We verified that we've got a problem, and we'll have to work on that. So,
yeah, I want to try just one thing, if I may.
Sure, just let us know when you're ready, or can we move on to other things while you're working on that? Or are there any other site-related? So, well, it's sort of jumping around a bit, but this came up because of office hours, and I think this is a good outreach topic, just to update people on office hours. Our friend Wilbur has gotten enthusiastically taken over making sure that we have weekly office hours for about the last month, and if I understand him correctly, he's committed to at least another month or two. But we did decide to move them up a little bit in time, so we're now doing, and also we've shortened them from 3 to 2 hours. So right now, West Coast time, they'd be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central time, 1 p.m. So yeah, just if anybody has any comments on that. We've been getting decent turnout. I think most weeks we have at least 3 or 4 people that show up total. I've showed up at least for a little while each week for the last couple of weeks. We've had up to 5 or 6 people show up for office hours, and we've had some new faces show up. I think that's really good. I think it's a great time for newbies that want to contribute to core and have questions or things like that. So, Robert, did you do anything that you need feedback?
Yeah, would folks who are, I would just reload the office hours page and see if it's showing up for you properly.
Mine was working before, and it now says I'm in London.
That's really weird. Okay. I won't waste people's time. I'm
Still Los Angeles for me.
Where do you find to search for the office hours page?
You go to the.
I dropped a link in Zulip in the weekly meetings channel. I can put it in this.
I just went to backdrop.org to see if there was a search. There is no search on that page.
No.
That would be a good thing to add.
Yes.
I think that's come up before, yeah.
Under resources, I see office hours.
Well, yeah, what we're looking at is under events. If you go to news, under news, events, and then click on one of the, and we should unpublish yesterday's office hours. But I'm not going to do that right now because I'm not logged in. I assume actually events should be going away by themselves, shouldn't they? So why is yesterday's, is it just we need a little more time before that goes away?
Yeah, I think it does like now -1 day.
Okay, so maybe at the end of today it'll go away.
Plus 1 day or something, yeah.
That makes sense. What else? So, I mean, while we're talking about the website, are there any other website-related issues that people have been having? Okay. Why don't we move on and talk about promoting the blog post and promoting 1.21 when that comes out. Yeah, and you were going to update us on that and some changes. I'm confused what conclusion in issues means.
So in the checklist for what to do when a preview comes out, there were a couple of new check marks that we added for what we need to do when we close the issues for new core features. And one of them was to add a section to the issue called conclusion that has a summary for the person who's writing the blog post that explains what was in the feature, so they don't have to read through the entire issue and figure out what just changed. In some cases, I also added a screenshot. In most cases, the issue had a screenshot already, so I just took the one I had and put it up there. But hopefully that'll make it easy for the person who's doing the blog post to just go and pull those out, reformat the text if they want, however it makes sense for the blog post, but with that, just sort of like a summary and access to a screenshot of what the new feature is. So that should make that easier. For this particular release, we had a lot of user experience issues that were serious enough that they got pushed to a minor release instead of being a bug fix release. And so I wasn't sure if we wanted to show those off with screenshots or not. But I figured, even if they aren't important enough to make the newsletter, they might make the blog post, but I'll leave it to whoever's writing the blog post to decide. But anyway, I did just want to call out, hopefully from now on, if we can follow this procedure with every preview release, the blog post writing process will get less painful for people in the newsletter.
Let's go ahead and do a quick screen share. So this is an issue that was closed just recently or merged. And this is what you're talking about, right, Jen? This conclusion section. And so is this something that you did, that you or somebody did after, when this was committed?
Yeah, it wasn't when it was committed. It was when Nate was creating the a preview release, we had to close the milestone in order to get the release notes. And in order to get the release notes formatted correctly, you have to go through and like edit each issue title and stuff. And Nate was like, I don't really want to do this. Could you do this for me? So I was like, sure. So I went through, but then I also saw on the checklist, it was like, not just the issue title, you had to fix the tags and you had to add conclusions. And I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. I'm so glad we put this checkbox here because I definitely would have forgotten since last time. So yeah, it's essentially for issues that didn't have this template when they were created. So that we would remember to add that.
Well, I don't know how well this has been working. I know I recently opened an issue and tried to do at least a real quick version of this. But this is another thing that we did to sort of help in the same way, was we added to the template for a new feature, ask people to sort of draft a press release or a short synopsis that could be used once the issue comes out. One of the difficulties with this, though, is that oftentimes issues more. So what you might draft at the beginning might not be, but it's still helpful. I think it's, if we get people using this. Anyways, okay. So we do, I'm going to stop sharing again. What am I getting at? We have the blog post, and yeah, Luke volunteered to do this last time. We're not sure if he can do it this time. Is anybody else here interested in helping with the blog post, assuming Luke can't do it, or helping Luke? This is something I have also done in the past. I am going to really try to do a video, which I've done once or twice in the past, but I've been doing a lot more videos lately. So writing a blog post could kind of overlap with that, but if anybody wants to specifically help with a blog post, I think that would be great. Okay. What else in terms of promoting the new release? We have fallen down, and BW Panda had been doing our newsletter for a little while, and he was unable to do it last month. I volunteered to do it. I didn't get it out. Normally we would do it sort of right at the end or beginning of the month, and I was debating whether or not to do one now for the preview release and then another one after the release, or would it be better to just wait for the release? Any thoughts on that, Jen? Do you know how we've handled that in the past? Or have we not really had to? We didn't have a preview release until fairly recently.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should probably wait until the actual release so that people who wouldn't be comfortable playing with the preview release would be able to see the changes in like the sandbox, for example.
Right. Well, it's only really a week till the release, right? Just over a week.
Yeah.
So I guess it would be kind of silly to do a newsletter now. Well, although, wait, because we normally don't do the newsletter until after the first bug fix release, right?
Yeah, so that if there's an emergency bug fix, we can get that out immediately.
Well, if that's the case, it's going to be at least 2 or 3 weeks until we did a newsletter. So maybe we could do one now and just sort of let people know. So there is no place that you can spin up we've talked about this. We don't have a way to spin up the preview release in Tugboat, right? So the only way somebody can actually see the new features is if they spin up their own site.
Yeah. And I feel like
I'm guessing that we can do, but most people probably can't.
Yeah. The main audience for our newsletter are not people who are going to want to go download a pre-release from GitHub and install it locally. I think there are people who, if we can give them a button or a picture, they'll be more than interested to do that, but I don't think they're motivated to invest the time in setting it up. So yeah, I feel like, we could put something on the dashboard for people that would be like, hey, preview release, go have a look or whatever. People who are running Backdrop are likely to be more motivated than people who are just curious about it. I think Twitter is a good place. We have lots of developers who follow us on Twitter who might be motivated to take it for a spin. Oh, maybe a LinkedIn post. I don't know who's on that group. Maybe those are just normal people. Maybe not.
Mhm.
Thought myself around in a circle in that one. But yeah, it would be
Sure.
good to get more people trying it somehow.
Well, if we had other urgent things to promote in the newsletter, I wouldn't put out a newsletter specifically around the preview, but if we had other things, it might be worth it, but I'm not sure. We'll see. I might look at what other content we have. So the preview could just be a side thing, but I don't know. I don't feel like we have a lot right now. We don't have any upcoming events, do we? Although Backdrop Live is now about 2 months away. So, and by the way, on that note, and Jen, I don't know if you've noticed, and cussed me out, but we, for our upgrade week or upgrade day, we kind of messed up the event site and never got it fixed again. So that's been on my agenda, and I keep forgetting that I think the event site is kind of a mess right now.
Okay.
Just in terms of content not making any sense. Okay. Anything else in terms of promoting the new release? Forward, not necessarily the preview release, but the release. Is this, well, it's also Backdrop birthday.
Oh yeah.
Do we want to do something for Backdrop birthday? So for those who haven't been around for a long time, for at least 2 years, maybe 3, we tried to have a series of in-person Backdrop events pre-pandemic. And we had up to 3 or 4 of them at one point that happened on January 15th. I don't think we did really anything last year during pandemic, did we? So
I don't think so. We could do a virtual thing.
Mm-hmm.
We could just like open Jitsi or something and be like, anyone who wants to say happy birthday, hop in, and then, you know, I don't know.
The difficulty, of course, is its release day. So for those who don't know that, I don't know how intentional this was. Jen can speak to that, but well, okay, okay. It was obviously intentional. By definition, the birthday is going to be release day, right?
With the party being release day is, yeah.
Yeah, well, what was less obvious was that it's also Drupal's birthday. That's, I think, what I was thinking about. But anyways, yeah, so that makes it a little bit difficult, although it might actually work well with just kind of a drop-in virtual event. It's harder to plan a physical event in the middle of release day. But like have a half hour or a short virtual event might not be that big of a deal.
The problem is picking a half hour that works for people. Everyone,
Yeah.
like I know we had a in-person birthday party in France back when we had in-person parties. And so just trying to coordinate like France and California is hard.
Is there some asynchronous thing we could do that isn't synchronous? So like just ask people, have people post photos or screenshots of their backdrop site with a happy birthday message, or I don't know.
That'd be nice. That would also generate a whole bunch of chatter about Backdrop, which would be great.
We got a full room of people. We need some ideas. What can we do to engage folks, maybe in social media or asynchronously on our birthday? Is there anything?
How old is Backdrop going to be?
7? Well, wait.
Oh, I feel like we did 7 before, so maybe 8. Could it be 8?
15. 2016 was 1 year old. So 2021 was 5 years old. So 6 years old.
Oh, 6 years old?
So, but if you count back to when it was like started, it was 2013. Right. So you would add, so it's like 8 years old total, but like doesn't have a birthday until January 2 years later. So I don't know.
I know we've.
It was in
22
gestation from
minus 13.
2013 to 2015.
It's when it was born or conceived.
Oh,
22 minus 13 is what?
8. 9?
I'm trying. I know that we have said publicly like we're X years old in the past, and I'm trying to find an example of that. I'm going through back blog posts.
The problem is your first birthday is at the end of your first year of age.
Right.
So there's that weird buffer year in there too.
Are we taking the birthday from when 1.0 was released?
Yeah.
That's when Backdrop was officially born, and so the first birthday would be 1 year after that. So,
Okay.
So probably 7. And if it's 2015.
Hopefully this is helpful. I'm sharing my screen again. This is a post from promoting the 2020 birthday, and we claim to be 5 years old at that birthday. By the way, there is a picture, a nice picture of one of the previous birthdays. Here's one that we did in the Twin Cities. Oh, and this is the one from France.
Yeah.
So in 2019, I think we had at least 3, if not more. Is that Robert? Robert, you were at the birthday party?
Where?
Oh no, who's the next to Nate? It looks a little like Robert. Did I just embarrass?
Oh no, that is me. That was a Drupal meetup.
Wow.
That was.
It was a Drupal. This was the Backdrop birthday. Did you?
It was Backdrop
Did you
and
do both?
Drupal's birthday.
Ah.
And it was a Drupal meetup.
It was a Drupal meetup, and I came because I was interested in Drupal, and then these 2 crazy people were telling me about how wonderful Backdrop was, and that I should start considering it.
It wasn't just 2; it was the 5 of us, Mike and Luke, and yeah.
Well, it was you and Nate that I remembered.
Wow.
Okay. Well, so according to this, we would be 7 years old this year, based on the math we did 2 years ago. So we can either extend the error or hope that it's right. That 20. Okay, that was okay. It's hard to believe that 2 years ago was still pre-pandemic, but it was. Okay.
Yeah, just barely.
Yeah. Okay, so it's our 7th birthday. So what are we going to do? What kind of? I mean, I do think it is an opportunity to get some publicity and to do some outreach. Any kind of contest, T-shirt giveaway. I'm just brainstorming.
We could definitely do a T-shirt giveaway or even a hoodie giveaway. We could do it for like your most enthusiastic celebration image. I don't know, and have people
Sure.
do with. I'm not good at ideas.
Well, I like where that's going. I'm a little nervous about judging what the most enthusiastic. So it could be a random post a screenshot of your Backdrop site or something and get entered to win a free T-shirt. Or
I had an idea for a video that I think would be cool, but it would involve a bit of work from one of our very talented members, Mr. Bugfolder. I wondered about a video of an origami drop being created and maybe taking off. I don't know if that's possible or if that's too much. But I saw your amazing TED talk on the maths of origami, and I was quite impressed, and it just made me think, oh, we should have it. And I think PHP have got an origami elephant, so I thought we should have an origami. We should have an origami drop.
I'm
Yeah,
sure there's origami dragons. That seems like I'm sure it exists. It also sounds very difficult.
Well,
Depends on how detailed you want to get.
if you see Robert's TED talk on the maths of origami, he makes it look quite easy, but
Consider it.
I did think it was a long shot, but I thought it would be quite cool if we could.
Well, thanks for that idea, Martin. I made drop Christmas cookies last year, so I don't know. That's not quite as difficult, but I will plan on doing that again. I wish I could share them with you all, but I think the best I can do is take pictures.
That's also something I was thinking of. Like TikTok this year sent cakes to all of its like biggest creators on New Year's, and so then there were a whole bunch of videos on TikTok of like the creators eating the cakes or doing weird things with the cake, cutting the cakes or turning the cakes into other shapes or whatever people do with their stuff on TikTok. But I was like, oh, if we could do something like that, like send everybody a website. But we already do that. We are just like, this is the website for everyone. So I don't know how we could leverage something like that, a drop cookie, but via the internet. I don't know. What does an electronic cookie look like? Oh, wait a minute. There's already cookies. We could get everybody a browser cookie. Hold on. This seems like a really bad idea. It does something like a dragon. I don't know.
Well, while we're brainstorming, some people do on special days, special things with their website. So maybe we have some special JavaScript thing on our birthday that, a Google thing, like, what do they call it? A Google Doodle type of thing.
Yeah. The Talk Like a Pirate module only ever does something on Talk Like a Pirate Day. We could have like a dragon module that only does something on Backdrop's birthday and like puts a little animated dragon. So this again is going to require like skills from multiple people in order to get it done, and maybe doesn't have time for this year, but I love this idea. Love to see something happen with it.
I do. Yeah. So folks mull that around, like what we could do in terms of a contrib module that people could install on their sites to do something special on birthday. That would be fun, and it would be, we could do screenshots of it or have people post pictures of it. I like the idea of sending stuff to people, but who would we send and what? I mean, we could physically. I've been mulling the idea of to encourage contribution, doing a contribution week where we give a T-shirt to anyone who writes their first pull request or something, or ports a module or something. I know you have done things like that informally in the past, Jen, but I was thinking we could
formalize it.
Just do something where we more physically acknowledge and encourage people to contribute. But maybe this is a chance, maybe we could do some kind of an appreciation event for those that have been contributing over the last year on this day, although it's getting late. Maybe that's something, again, we should plan further out.
Yeah. I feel like if we could send things electronically, it would be much easier because we could do things like pull GitHub contributions and the matching email address and like send something, and that would make sense. But most of our people we don't have real life information about. We only have virtual information about. So that makes it much harder to be like, how do I send a cookie to someone I only have an email address? But yeah, with some forethought, we could probably make this happen for next year.
There are a number of origami dragons, pictures of them on the net. I put a link in the chat. Mm-hmm. I also have a great recipe for everything cookies. If people want to make some cookies for themselves.
Well, I think the simplest idea we've come up with is if we could encourage everybody to do something on that day, and ideally shared on social media. We have not had a lot of luck getting things to go sort of viral on social media. This might be the kind of thing we could. But what is it that we ask for? Like, I've thrown out this idea of a screenshot of your website, which seems really boring, but it's the best I can come up with. Yeah, I don't know. Well, we won't have another meet. Well, we don't have another meeting before then. So this is our last regular outreach meeting before the birthday. For those who just joined us, we're talking about the backdrop. Wilbur, who just joined us, was at the Minneapolis backdrop birthday party a few years ago. We're trying to think of a virtual way to celebrate it this year, which would also be release day. So it would be an opportunity to promote the release of 1.21 and generate a little buzz. Well, our time's almost up. Does anybody have any other outreach related stuff they want to talk about today real quickly before we end this meeting for the dev meeting?
I don't know if this is outreach, but Jen and I are working on the backdrop upgrade status module, which is a very visible transition from Drupal to backdrop. So we'll hopefully have many new exciting things to report with that in the coming weeks.
I think it's definitely outreach related because we want to promote that module as a way of promoting backdrop.
So there is a new release on Drupal.org. So people who are using the version from Drupal.org will be able to use all of the new features that were in the version that was previously only on GitHub. So that's good.
Right.
There is a Drupalcon in November when 7, I guess, is going away. And it might be something that we could, it's going to be in what, Portland?
I'm completely out of date with the Drupal. Usually the US events are in the spring. I don't know if that's changed. So, but I do believe they're hoping to do DrupalCon in person this year. And as usual, we should think about, I'm not likely to go, so we can think about that. We should also be keeping up with other events, though, that people, if people are starting to go to any events and you want to bring stickers or promote backdrop at any in-person events, you should let us know. And if you know of virtual events that we might participate in, let us know. Especially ones that aren't just Drupal, right? I think one of the things we've struggled with for years is identifying events that we might want to go to or participate in outside of the Drupal events that we're so familiar with.
It is spring. It's April 25th to 28th in Portland.
Anybody here plan to go to DrupalCon this year?
DrupalCon, if anybody lives close or whatever.
I would go if we weren't in the middle of a pandemic.
Maybe it'll be over.
TBD.
Yeah.
Not holding my breath.
Yeah.
By April, it'll all be over, I think.
It's kind of expensive to go to DrupalCon as well.
It is, yeah. So on that note, let's wrap up this meeting and get ready for our dev meeting. So I'm going to wave goodbye. And where is nobody else is waving.